This is going to be part 2 of my guide to Weiss, and in this I'm going to go through, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a game, and I'm going to, the damage I do, I'll do to myself, and I'll basically be able to go through the entire sort of turn structure and game structure and how it goes through, and how everything works together, and just give it, which will give everyone a good idea of how the game actually works. And there will be some things I won't cover, which I'll cover in a future video, but as things come up, I'll go into as much detail as I can. Okay, so to start the game, you need to decide who goes first, and the normal way to do that is just to play rock, paper, scissors, but as with most things, you can do it however you want, like rolling dice or whatever. So assuming that we go first, yeah, so the first thing you do is each player draws 5 cards. And then you get to mulligan. So in order to mulligan in Weiss, you can discard any amount of cards from your hand and then draw that many again. And I think in this case I'm just going to discard all my non-zeros because none of them are ones I actually want at this point in time. So I'll discard 4 cards and drawing 4. So I've drawn at least one card I actually do want when I do get to level 1, so that's potentially a good thing. But yeah, so just assume we start and play draws like normal. You just draw like normal. And then I will clock for turn. So I'll clock, which is basically give myself a damage, and drawing 2 more cards. So the person who's going first, they get to do only 1 attack a turn for that turn. So they only get... So the person going first gets 1 attack on their first turn, and after that, there's no restrictions on anything. So I will place this card here, and because I'm going first, basically there will be nothing in the opponent's stage. So I'm going to move to the attack phase, and yeah, and because there's 3 kinds of attacks. So if there's no characters in the opponent's same area of the center stage, it's called a direct attack. And when you direct attack, you get +1 soul. If there is a character there, you get 2 options. You can frontal attack, which is you attack and then you battle like normal. And you can also side attack. And when you side attack, you lose soul equal to the level of the thing opposing you. So you can, yeah, but in this case, because there's nothing there, we're going to direct attack, which means we'll be doing 1 more soul. So right now the character has 1 soul base. We're getting +1 for the direct attack, and then we do our trigger check, which is no soul. So we're doing 2 damage. So we'll just take 2 damage. Yeah, and because we get a climax, the damage is cancelled. So if it wasn't cancelled, it would go into your clock. If it is cancelled, it goes straight to your waiting room. Sweet. And now we're going to pretend to be an opponent. We will draw for turn. We will clock again. So hand has not been the most ideal, but we're going to play this card, which is another copy. But now that we have stock, she has a ability where I can pay 1 stock and put 1 card from my hand into a waiting room. I will put this, and I can search my deck for a card, for a character card. It has 3 potential trait requirements it has to be, but for purposes of currently this set, every character will fit into one of those traits. But it does allow them for potentially in the future adding a opposing faction who doesn't work with some of those traits. So I'm going to search for this card, which is a brainstormer, which I'll explain next turn. So I'll put that in my hand, shuffle my deck. And because, yeah, so I'm just going to assume that right now there's 1 character here. So we're just going to ignore any potential combat things, and we're just going to do 2 direct attacks here, which will protect our characters. Or maybe, like, if there was 1 here, we'll just side attack, as it gives us more card advantage in a way, because we're not losing cards if it still manages to survive the next turn, which probably won't. So we'll do a side attack here, which will, so it's currently just 1, because the opposing character would be level 0. And trigger climax, so it has a 1 soul symbol, so we're now doing 2 damage, and this specific climax is a standby. So a standby, what you do is you take 1 card equal to your current level, which is currently for us 0, so we're currently at 0, plus 1, so we can get up so a card up to level 1 and put it onto our stage tapped. So I am going to grab this guy, this Wealth, and put him tapped. Yeah. You can put it on anywhere, so you can put him backstage if you want to protect them, or in this case, he basically protects himself against certain things, so he's actually fine to just straight go up there. Sweet, and so we're doing 2 damage, but yeah, so this will go into stock, and we're just going to take 2 damage from the opponent. And the 2 damage goes through. And then we'll attack here, which will be a frontal attack, which is no trigger, so it's a direct attack. Yeah, so it'll be a direct attack, so it's a direct attack. So it's 1 plus the base of 1, so that's 2 plus 0. That's also 2, so we'll take us up 2 damage. So damage goes through. Okay, so now it is our turn again. Draw a card. And now we're going to clock. And clocking here is going to level us up. Yeah, so now that, so as soon as you get to 7 cards in your clock, you level up. And how you level up is you grab a card from your stock, you put it into your level. So as we can see, this is now covering up the 0, so now we are level 1. And the rest go into your waiting room. And you always do that as soon as it comes up. And before you, yeah, so I just clock. So before I draw the cards, I level up. That way you have to make all your decisions. Now that I think about it, all my decisions. I'm going to do this one. Yeah, so you want to do all your decisions before you know what new card you have in hand. Yeah. So I forgot to untap everything. Yeah, so I'm going to play this card, which is the card we searched for last time, which is a Brainstormer. So in this case, we can pay 1 stock and rest her, and then we return over, flip over the top 4 cards of our deck. And for every climax revealed, in which case it is 2, we can search for a character. So I can currently search my deck for 2 characters. And once you've finished resolving or flipping over, these cards go into your waiting room. Grab that. And guess this. And you shuffle your deck. And now we're currently level 1, which allows us to play cards that are level 1. We can only play cards that we have the right colors for, either in our clock or our level. So right now we have nothing in our clock and a red card in our level, so we could only play red level 1s. So we can play any color level 0s. I'm not going to play any because I've got a full board. And then, yeah, so I'll then attack with this guy. And assuming it's probably a direct attack at this point, or a frontal attack. So for 1 damage. I'm going to attack here for another frontal attack. For another 1 damage. Which is climax, so it's cancelled. Yeah, so this card, when she's reversed, she has an ability which if your the card she's facing is level 0, she puts it on the bottom of the deck. So in this case, she'll be facing herself, so she's got on the bottom of the deck. And also, when you do that, your effect happens first. So if your opponent had a similar effect that it went to a different area, like maybe it put itself in its memory, and you put it on the bottom of the deck, your thing happens and theirs thing doesn't. So attack here for 1 more. Goes through, and again should put itself on the bottom. So then we'll be at the next turn. Oh, and also, the maximum cards you can have in hand is 7. So I actually got 10 now, so I'm just going to discard a 3 cards before I go over to the next turn. 1, 2, 3. So I'll draw for turn. And then I'll clock. Draw 2 more. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to play the skill. And she has 2 abilities. The first one we're not going to do for now. If the second one lets me pay 1, I can discard a climax from hand, and I can grab a climax from a waiting room to my hand. So if I want a specific one, I can then grab that. I'm then going to play an event. So this event, it lets me draw 1 card. So long as I'm level 1 and can play a red card, I can draw it. I draw 1 card. And then this Hestia has an ability when if you play an event, you can draw 1 card and then discard a card. So this would happen first, and then her ability would then happen next. So I draw a card, and I will discard a climax or register. And then we're going to play these 2. And then I'm going to go to a climax phase and play a climax. So what happens here is the climax's ability happens. In this case, it has an ability which says do the standby effect, so it doesn't do anything else other than it happens again. So now that I'm level 1, I can grab a level 2 card and put it tapped. I'll put it wristed. I'm going to play over her from backstage, and she'll go into a waiting room. Sweet. Also, this deck has something called experience, so it cares about the level of the cards in your level. So he has an ability, his first one says that if your experience is free, he gets plus 7k power, and he gets encore discard a character from hand. And currently we have free, so he is currently 11k. Yeah. And then, if we go to combat and I attack with this wealth, he has an ability that says if I have this climax in the climax zone, I can grab a character from waiting room to hand whose level is equal to the number of this event I have in there or less. So I've got 1 in, so I can grab a level 1. And I'm just going to grab level 1. Then we will attack. Then we do it. So yeah. So his is an on attack ability, so his ability happens first. And then we go to triggers. So it's just 1 damage. We attack with him, and we do the same thing. I'm in fact just going to grab this level 0. Then we'll trigger, so that's 2 damage. I take 2 damage. And then we'll attack with this wealth. he just does 1 damage, which is enough to level us up if this isn't a climax. Okay, so what's happened is we have triggered the last card in our deck as damage. So the first thing we have to do is something called refreshing. So the damage actually stays in like outside, it stays in a resolution zone. So while the damage has not resolved yet. So you have, when you reach the bottom of your deck, you always have to refresh first. And once you've finished refreshing, you can then resolve anything what's currently happening at the time. So you shuffle your deck. Sweet. And once you have shuffled your deck, place the top card of your deck into your clock. So it's not actual damage, so it can't be cancelled. And now we've got 7 cards in our clock, so we can level up. So I'll put this card into here. These will then go into waiting room, and then the damage finish resolving. So that will then go into our clock afterwards. Sweet. And then from next turn we'll just draw. And then I'll clock. Now I'll clock as well. Draw 2 more. Yeah. And I'm probably just going to assume one of these that you died last turn. Because they're not actually, they've only got 3k power. Yeah. So then we'll go to combat. So we'll attack with him first. And he has ability. So when he is reversed in battle, if his opponent is level 1 or less, he'll also reverse then. So we'll first, but before that happens, so the first thing to do is resolve damage. No, you resolve the trigger check. So it's going to be 2 damage. So there's 2 damage going on to a stack. Over resolution zone. Then he gets reversed, and then he will reverse the opponent. Now this bell is currently really big, so he's definitely not going to lose any fights anytime soon. So he will attack for 1 damage. And then this well for attack. I'm assuming they have something big, so maybe he loses the fight anyway as well. For 1 damage. And it is climax, so it's cancelled. So in turn, these guys will then go into waiting room. Sweet, and in a turn I'm going to discard 2 cards for 9 cards in hand. So next turn we untap, draw a card. We will then lock and then draw 2 more. It's not what we wanted. And then I'm going to brainstorm. Pay 1. Flip over the top 4 cards. We've got one climax. Then search my deck for a card. To grab another copy of Brainstormer. And these are going to waiting room. Okay. So, play her. We just play her without worrying about effects. And then I'm going to play this Climax. So what this one does, it gives all my characters plus 1k power and 1 soul. It also combos with him, but I just going to ignore that for this game because it's a bit complicated how it works. Okay, so we'll attack here for 3. So we 1, 2, 3. So we've refreshed again, so that damage stays out of resolution zone. We'll take a refresh damage, which levels us up. So we'll put this in here. And 3 damage will go in. We'll attack here. His thing also requires, it technically would work now because it required level, like 7 experience for my level, but I'm still just going to ignore it for the purposes of this video. And he does, so 1, 2, just 2 damage. Attack 2 versus a cancel. And let's assume he lost with 5 for whatever reason, just so I can show something else. And she will attack for 2 damage as well. And she probably would have lost the fight as well. So during the encore part of a battle step, we can, so she'll go into the waiting room. He'll also go into the waiting room, but he has an encore. So long as we have free experience, we can discard 1 character card from our hand into a waiting room. That's not a character card. And he can return to the battlefield where he was. This goes in here. And then we just untap return. Draw a card. I will not clock as I'm almost dead. And I'm going to play this character. So she's a level 3. She costs 2. So you pay 2 from your stock into your waiting room, which she costs 2. And she has an ability, the last one, but she has 3 actually. The third ability is when she's placed onto the stage from your hand, you may put the bottom card of your clock, which would be this card here, into your waiting room. And the rest just move over. So she heals us. She can also play, she has the top ability is she can count as level 2 in your hand if the Brainstormer is in your clock. So that way you can play her earlier. Sweet, and we'll just move to combat, attack with her. So she has 2 soul base, so she's 1, 2. Plus 0 is just 2 damage. Take 2, and we cancel. So the bell attacks, does 1, and then 1 attacks. Or just 1. And cancel. And one thing is, with the game is that basically the more damage you do, the more likely it's going to be cancelled. So if you're doing like 4 damage, it has a much higher chance of getting cancelled than just 1. End of turn. We won't clock again. Draw. And I actually have no characters in hand. So at this point, I'm just going to move one of my back row characters up. And then just go and attack again. So it's 2 plus 0 is still 2. Sweet. And this 2 damage brings us up to 7 cards in our clock, which is the point we would level up. Because we're already level 3, we've now lost. So that is basically, so that is how you play the game. So rough overview with some simple basics of stuff. Yeah, and that's basically how you progress your board state. Yeah. And one thing with deck wise, because this is a 2-card deck, I need to make sure that I have the right colors in my clock and level to play the higher level cards. And all the trial decks are usually like that as well. And I think it's probably a good idea if you, even though it's easier to play a single card deck, playing a 2-card deck I think is better in the long run as you get used to remembering to actually make sure you have the right colors. So you're more like, because I often play single card decks, so there'll be times when I'm playing a 2-card deck where I just don't think about it, and then suddenly can't play my level 1s when I need to. But yeah, so hopefully you guys got some information, more information about the game, and an idea of how it plays from this video. And yeah, I think the next one will be me going to more situations that won't always come up, but I'll just go over a bunch of different situations and how they work, just to give you, yeah, and some of it's stuff like, one of the things I will be doing in that video is stuff I only found out last week. And yeah, because you're just constantly learning, and there's always stuff which just never comes up, or only come up in certain situations, which if you don't come across it, you just won't know about it. So you're so used to doing things one way, and the one exception, or things are making it work different, you're just like, wait, what just happened? And yeah, so I'll cover a few of those from the next video, and I guess most of the rest of the videos in the series will just be stuff like that as it comes up for me. And yeah, thank you for watching.